Yo, 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 yo. Welcome into the ChrisBeCappinn show, man. Today is July the 6th, 2026. 3 WNBA games on the board for today. We shall jump right into them. Now, I didn't do a show yesterday. Yesterday was Sunday. Saturday was really, really frustrating. I was like, you know what? I need to go ahead and take the day off. I talked about the under, and I bet the under in Golden State and Atlanta, and it ended up losing. Fourth quarter flurry of points from both teams. Was definitely on pace. The first half did go under, like we talked about. I think the number was 79.5. And then in the late game, it was Seattle and Portland. And Seattle just really, like, I'll talk about them today because they're on the slate, but like I can't get a grip on Seattle. Perfect spot against the, really poor Portland defense, and they went to bed. I bet over in that game. I got the best of the number, and it was an absolute loser. I also ended up adding Seattle team total over as the day went on as well, and they didn't even come close. They shot the ball pretty poorly in that game, and they played at night. They get another poor defense, so we'll talk about that in just a second. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I took yesterday off. Yesterday I did have a pretty good day though. I bet the Wings. They got the job done in Toronto, and then I also was on Indiana plus the 3. I got some 4.5 and some 3.5 as soon as Asia got rolled out. We always talk about Indiana defense being a lot better without Caitlin Clark being on the floor. I probably should have added the Aces team total under as well. Thought about it, but didn't bet that 90. I think it was 91.5. Yeah, needless to say, I hope that you guys have been finding some ways to make some money. Let's jump into it for today. So we'll start off with Jackson. Your AI Sports Betting tool is linked in the description as it always is. Today's prompt, I wanted to give you guys a player prop, and I'll give you guys the prompt. The prompt is to analyze today's WNBA slate to identify the highest value player props on the board. Focus on lines that show a significant discrepancy against recent 5-game rolling averages, tracking changes in usage rate due to injuries or favorable defensive matchups, specifically targeting matchups in points, rebounds, or assists, and provide the data, the underlying metrics, and the reason for each recommendation. So the first one comes in on Natasha Howard over her 23.5 points plus rebounds. It says that she's been a model of consistency, clearing this 23.5 points plus rebounds line in 80% of her last 10 games with a mean of 26.4. Her 10-game rolling average is nearly 3 full units higher than tonight's line. Most impressively, she has a 75% hit rate against the Connecticut Sun this season, averaging 25.25, which I don't think that they play yet. Matchup analysis: Connecticut defense versus her position ranks third, which is very strong. However, Howard's historical success against the specific opponent and her role as the primary interior anchor for this Minnesota Lynx team provides a high floor. She's cleared this line in 66% of her visitor games this season, but playing at home where Minnesota is more effective, gives her an edge greater than gives her an even greater edge. At -106 on FanDuel, this is the strong value play on a player in peak form. So that's the first one. And then the second one is on Gabby Williams of the Golden State Valkyries over her 20.5 points, rebounds, and assists. It says that she's the premier play on the board tonight, while her season average is slightly above this line. Her 10-game rolling average of 22.9 and her 80% hit rate over that span shows a consistent ability to be able to clear this threshold. Most importantly, Williams has seen a significant usage spike in high leverage games, and her role as the primary engine for the Valkyries offense has solidified. She faces a Washington defense that ranks 7th in the league against her position for points, rebounds, and assists combined. While this is a respectable defensive rating, Williams' recent value and her ability to contribute across all 3 categories provides a high floor for the market that the market has not adjusted for. Given her 80% hit rate over her last 10 games, the over 20.5 is a high value probability play. So Gabby Williams over her 20.5, I could get behind that. Let's jump into the matchups, man. As always, the links is in the description if you guys are interested in checking it out. So first up, we have the Golden State Valkyries and the Washington Mystics. And I'll be honest with you guys before we get started. I do not like the slate for today. Like yesterday, I thought it was a lot better. Today, not as much. And a lot of it is because we have some very inconsistent teams, man. It's really hard for me to figure out, what version of which team is going to show up. Now, the Valkyries have been a bit more consistent, but they've been a lot more consistent when they've had rest. And I can give you guys those numbers, but I was looking into this. The Valkyries, when they have more than 2 days rest, I don't know what Natalie Nakase does, but if they have more than 2 days rest, typically you could just bet on them. They were getting points, of course, in that game against Atlanta. I think they would end up getting 3.5. They won that game outright, and they've now won 4 in a row, or I think it might be 5 in a row. But typically, you don't really want to bet on teams that are coming off a win as a road dog specifically, and then they land points on the road. It's actually a 60% fade of the Golden State Valkyries in this spot. If you're looking at regular season teams that just won as a road dog, and now they land points on the road. So I couldn't get behind Golden State for the full game. If you look at this Mystics team, they do have the rest advantage. They're also coming off a win as a dog in their last game as well. I want to take you guys over really quickly to Moneyballer and let you guys see what I saw when I was looking at this game, because this is the one game that I actually bet. It's not by far not the biggest bet or the best bet I've ever made, but just kind of playing the systems here. So if we look at the Valkyries, and this is pinned in the description of the video if you guys are interested in checking out Moneyballer as well. But if we look at the Valkyries, we look at the Mystics. I forgot to mention this, but Sonia Citron's listed as questionable. She did not play in their last game when they beat Atlanta. And going back to that Atlanta game, so Washington actually became the first team in NBA history to shoot at least 55% from the three-point line. I think they shot 56 and commit more than 25 turnovers and still won a game. That just shows you how bad Atlanta was in that spot. Atlanta couldn't make a shot in that game. I do expect some regression from this Washington Mystics offense. This total is so low that I don't really want to get involved. Both of these teams are bottom 10 as far as pace. Of course, the Valkyries play at the slowest pace. They just burned me on the under. And then the Washington Mystics are also one of the slower pace teams in the WNBA. And both of these teams are top 3 defensively. I think the Valkyries are 2. You can see that here. And then the Mystics are 3rd. You can see that there. Not the greatest offense for the Mystics. So what I like here is I like the Valkyries early. I'm not sure if what they'll do as far as the full game. But if we look here, we can see that the Mystics have been a little bit of a fade early in games. They're 9-10, in the first half. And then for the full game, 10-8-1. So as a home dog in the first half, 2-3, but then it's a home dog for the full game, 4-0-1. Or I think some of this is 5-0, depending on where you're looking. And the Valkyries have just been really, really good in the first half, 15-6 in the first half. And I know both teams are coming off a win as a dog, so it could be a little bit of a letdown. I just think looking at, the Valkyries shot 38% from the three-point line against Atlanta. And I think that's repeatable more so than Washington shooting 55% from the three-point line. And even with Washington winning that game, I don't think they covered the first half in that game the other day. Or maybe they covered the first half but didn't cover the first quarter. So I'll bet the Valkyries in this spot. I took them early. You can get some 3.5. There's some couple 2.5s as well. But that's what I like the most in this game. From a player prop perspective, we just go over to, and the rest of this will be a lot faster, but from a player prop perspective, we just go over to Outlier. What I like here is I like Janelle Salon. If I'm betting any player prop today, especially in this game, it's Janelle Salon. You can get this at -120. This is her points plus rebounds. I'm just noticing she is one of the more consistent players, her, Gabby Williams, and then everybody else kind of it's just up or down. The Valkyries are like an absolute complete team. Everybody on their team contributes. So it's really hard to figure out who's going to do what and when they're going to do it. And it's really hard to bet an over in a game that has a total at 155, 156. But I think Janelle Salam is the player that I would want to bet on. Her points plus rebounds. So she had 14 points in the last game against Atlanta and didn't even grab a rebound. And then the game before that, 10-4 against the New York Liberty and 8-7 against the Atlanta Dream in the second, the second most recent matchup. So I like this because I think the field goal attempts, they're continuing to increase. You can see 7, 8, 9. And this doesn't mean that she's going to shoot that many again here today, but I think she'll have enough looks, right? The 3-point shots have typically been there. You can see that she's made at least 2 threes in 3 of her last 4 games. And I think that's still one of the kryptonites for this Washington Mystics defense is their 3-point defense. They're still not the greatest 3-point defense. You can see that they are, right outside the top, almost right outside the top 10 in that category. So I like Janelle Salon. I think that she should be the one that contributes and helps this Valkyrie team a lot in this game. So that's my thought process on this first game. The rest of this could be a lot faster, but I did bet the Valkyries first half minus the 2.5, minus 3.5. All right. Hit the like if you can, subscribe if you guys have not. Let's keep pushing. Next game up, we got the Connecticut Sun and the Washington Mystics. So this line has come down a little bit. It's down to 14.5, from 14.5 down to 13.5, and total 165.5. It looks like it's consensus. This has dropped from the opener of 167.5. And as tough as it is, man, to want to back Connecticut, I kind of feel like they're the right side. They have, I think 1 day rest advantage. And also it's just like the travel situation here as well. This Washington Mystics team has been all over the place. They played 5 of their last 6 on the road. This will be their first game back home off a 3-game road trip. Connecticut's been at home for 6 straight games. I know that they lost in their last one against the Dallas Wings. They, for whatever reason, they really struggle to close out games. They've been much better in the first half than they've been in the full game. Was winning that game until the fourth quarter started and then lost. But they still covered, 3 games. I know that they've been against Washington and Chicago, but, some really good, solid defensive efforts in those games as well. So for that reason, and they held Dallas to, 83 points as well. The Lynx will be fired up and motivated in this game. I do think that they will be. They just gave up, 99 points to the New York Liberty. But if you look at the injury report in this game, the big piece here, and Nafisha Collier is going to be back soon, probably won't be today, but the big piece here is that Olivia Miles is listed as questionable. I don't think that she's going to play. It's a lower leg injury. I think that she'll be out, and I think that's why this line is coming down. This opened 15.5, and it's continuing to, catch steam, and it's down to 13.5 on most books now. Total coming down. It's really, really difficult to play, but Minnesota team total under. The number is 89.5. I like that, and I like Connecticut. Again, it's for the travel situation. Connecticut's a much better situation. Minnesota typically plays really, really well off a loss, especially when they gave up a ton of points. But Connecticut team total is like 75.5. And I know Connecticut doesn't have everybody. They'll be without Anisha Morrow and Haley Van Lith, but I still think they got enough to keep this one within the number. So Connecticut plus the points and Minnesota team total under. Weirdly as it sounds, I think are the best sides and best plays in this game. All right, last one is Seattle and Los Angeles. And boy, I don't think I would go near this game with a 10-foot pole as far as the side goes. Sparks are laying 3.5. This total 174.5 hasn't really moved from the opener at all. On the Seattle side of things, should be a pretty clean injury report. And on the Sparks side of things, Cameron Brink and Kelsey Plum continue to be out. And the Sparks haven't played a game in forever. Matter of fact, I don't even know how many days it's been, but it's been over a week since they lost their last game. We faded them against the Indiana Fever back on the 27th. So extensive, rest break here. Before that, they, got blew out and embarrassed in Toronto. So back-to-back losses. They've lost 4 of their last 5. They did upset the New York Liberty, kind of caught the Liberty slipping. If I'm playing this game, man, I can't lay points with the Sparks. I definitely don't want Seattle. Seattle is god-awful. I thought that they had a chance to, play well in that bounce back spot after losing to Seattle, and they got buried by Portland. And Portland's not a good team either. But like I said, I can't leave with the Sparks. The Sparks are 1-5, straight up and against the number without Kelsey Plum this season, allowing 97 points per game, and they failed to cover 4 straight without Kelsey Plum. They also 4-2 to the over in those games. And then you add in Cam Brink. So without both of those, ladies, they're 0-3 straight up, 0-3 against the number, and 3-0 to the over. Those games have an average total of 180, and they're still going over by 20 points, and that's without overtimes. So I think that this total, while it is high, it's high for a reason. Seattle's offense can be very, very, poor. I think, just kind of, there's no way to sugarcoat it. They look really, really good at times. They leave a lot to be desired at other times, though. They scored 72 points and 67 points in their last 2 games against the Phoenix Mercury defense that's been struggling and a Portland Fire defense that's one of the worst the worst in the WNBA. But before that, they scored 99 points in 3 straight games, and they have played in 5 straight over. So their offense should bounce back. The Sparks defense is historically the worst defense in the WNBA. I know that they've had some time to fix it, but it just really looked like they're not playing with a lot of energy and effort, and they play super fast. If Seattle can, keep up in pace, then it should be an over type game. Sparks have played, like I said, 4 straight over. 6 of their last 7 have gone over the number. And I think if you are looking for a side, maybe Seattle early, like Seattle first quarter team total over, just because of the long layoff for the Sparks. Seattle typically pretty good early. I think there's something like 7-2 in the first half. Maybe have a little bit of better rhythm and continuity, and maybe a little bit of bounce back offensively for them against the worst defensive team or second worst defensive team in the WNBA. But I won't be getting involved in this game. So as far as recap goes, if we just get to that page, I like Janelle Salam and the Golden State Valkyries early. Golden State first half minus 2.5. And I like Janelle Salam over on her her name right. I say Laun. Over her 13.5 points plus rebounds. Not sure if I'll bet it. Connecticut plus the 13.5. Minnesota team total under 89.5. And Seattle and Las Vegas over 174.5. Only way I think we could bet those. And those are my thoughts for today, man. I'm out of here. Resources linked in the description. Check them out. Jackson, Out Loud, Moneyballer, Odds Jam. Save yourself some coin when you sign up. Hit the like button on the way out if you can. We'll be back tomorrow. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Enjoy the games. Enjoy the day.